So now we're moving on to celebrating project impacts from, well, still looking back, but so now celebrating project impacts. So we've got a couple of talks on how projects have disseminated and celebrated their impacts on young people and the environment. So first of all, I'm going to pass over to Kath for the first of those.
Thanks, Lawrence. So I am going to spend the next 10 minutes or so, hopefully less, talking about your evaluations and ideas on how to celebrate the impacts of your projects. So I'm going to tell you what we use your evaluations for, how to plan your dissemination, and then some examples from other projects. So as you all know, every project is required to produce its own evaluation report, but they're all very different. Some are undertaken by external contractors and others are done internally. What we do is we make each of them available on the project pages of the Our Bright Future website, and we use the information from your evaluations and your final report forms to update the text on each project page to really show the achievements of the projects. We'll also grab any headlines from either of those documents to feed into our own communication plans. Also, each of your evaluations will feed into our final reporting, provide additional evidence for the programme evaluation report, but they're also shared with the National Lottery Community Fund, who add them to their bank of evidence so that it can be used for future learning reports. So we do loads with them. Thank you very much for them. So, broadcasting and sharing evaluation findings is a key outcome of the project, and how you should do this should be carefully considered to achieve maximum outreach and use. So defining why and how you're going to disseminate achievements and identifying the primary audiences is crucial. Dissemination is really valuable for sharing good practice, attracting publicity and awareness of the project, really good for future funding opportunities and help you celebrate your successes. Once you've got your evaluation report, read through it, probably read through it again to fully digest it, then you can make a plan. Think about your key audiences, tailor your messages and the best methods of communicating with those audiences. You might also want to look ahead for any upcoming events or awareness days when your key messages might be particularly relevant. We created this top tips guide all about disseminating impacts back in February, and it'll be one of the things that we recirculate after the seminar. So now I'm just going to give you a few examples from other projects to give you a few ideas. So first of all, graphics. Your evaluation reports will contain loads of information, but there will be some key nuggets and stats that you can use to help you shout about your achievements. Each of your evaluation reports will have been written in a different style, and some will have stats like these already in the report, and others won't. Others will just be wordier and more academic. The examples on the left and the middle are lifted straight out of evaluation reports. So the two left ones are from the Groundwork Green Leaders, and then the middle one is from the National Youth Agency. The ones on the right were created for a different program that we manage, BIFA Award, and the stats were taken from like a wider impact assessment report, and we picked out the most eye-catching and impressive stats from that, and then created these graphics so that they can be used in social media. We use them on the website, presentations, and loads of publications we create. And they've become a really good comms asset. There are just 3 on the screen, but I think we've got a bank of something like 14 different ones to choose from with different themes on them. Another key dissemination idea is doing videos. So there's loads of different styles of videos. There are just some examples on the screen. I'm aware of time, we won't be playing them, but they are all on the Our Bright Future YouTube channel, and they're also something else we add links to on the project pages of our website. But just to give you a bit of an example, so the top left, the National Youth Agency created a video to summarise the whole project and the impacts it had. And this was a mixture of footage and fancy infographics that moved around the screen and was voiced over by one of the team. The top right is from Shropshire Wildlife Trust, and that focused on the positive differences the project made to its participants. And that was a mixture of footage and interviews. And then the bottom 2, the one on the left, they're both from Learning Through Landscapes. They created an animated film to show the positive effects that looking after a tree had it on its beneficiaries. So just one element of that project. And then they also created a wider film that had got a mixture of interviews with staff participants and footage of people doing activities in the orchards. There are loads of other things that you can do, and I was aware of time and I was only supposed to have 5 or 10 minutes. So here are just a few other ideas. So as well as videos or graphics, you could consider running an event, writing a press release, holding a roundtable, or sharing the report with MPs and decision makers. So this is just a whistle-stop tour of ideas that I've found, and hopefully it's given you some inspiration. But I have found some useful guidance out there. So NCVO, Inspiring Impact, and Better Evaluation websites have all got guides around dissemination and celebrating impacts. So when I've stopped sharing my screen, I will put the links to them in the chat and we will share them afterwards. And then I will hand you back to Lawrence.
Thank you very much for that, Kath. It took me a moment or two to recognise that scene from our Growing Confidence video, actually. But no, I think that I think there's some very, very important points there about how to make information accessible to everyone, really, to make these things accessible to everyone. Now, if anyone's got any got a burning question for Kath, we've probably got time for one or two. If you'd like to either virtually raise your hand or put a question in the chat. Since we do not appear to have any questions immediately, we'll move on to our next speaker. So now we have Alexi James, I apologise, of Ulster Wildlife to talk about how they have disseminated and celebrated their impact. Over to you.
Thanks very much, Lawrence. Good to see you again. And it's nice to see everybody. You know, it would have been lovely to have seen everyone face to face again, but this is definitely the next best thing. So good to be here and to see everyone. Arwen's going to help with this in a minute as well, as Arwen has been involved in. I suppose the main thing we've done every year is have an annual celebration event. As a mechanism for disseminating achievements and learning. But I also think that celebration events done in the right way can really consolidate your achievements as well. So it's not just about dissemination. I think they actually add to the achievements in their own right when they're done in a certain way, and particularly when they're done in a way that involves young people and has young people at the heart of planning and delivering them, which is what we've tried to do. So in the first year, we didn't really have that many young people engaged in the project to help organise the first celebration event, but we did have young people presenting about projects that they'd done. But we used the first celebration event as a platform to recruit young people to a youth forum, which then took on responsibility for planning and running the subsequent celebration events. So we have a video which was made by a young person from our project about our last face-to-face celebration event. So I'm just going to play that, and then myself and Arwen maybe chip in with a few things, a few thoughts about about how we went about planning and running those celebration events. But Nikki, if you can hopefully run a glitch-free YouTube clip, that'd be great.
Welcome you all to the Grassroots Challenge Celebration Event 2019. We should care about the environment because it's our future, and at the end of the day, we will be adults, we will be making these decisions. So right now, when we're teenagers, we have to be environmentally conscious about it.
a researcher at the BBC Natural History Unit, which is great, and it's a one time, it's a short title, but it's a lot of jobs.
At the minute we have a discussion paper out, which has been put out to seek views from Northern Ireland citizens, but especially young people, around your concern for the environment.
If we all get involved and we all decide together that we want to make this change, you find people similar to you and you can do bigger things with more people.
This was an experience and a half. I didn't think I'd be getting one award, never mind two. So I like the spotlight for a minute.
It's also to see about the Northern Ireland environment strategy, which is going to be absolutely essential to how the government helps deal with this biodiversity and climate crisis.
We're not just teenagers, we're like going into the workplace, and it's something that we can be involved in very, very shortly. So it's important that we are really behind the strategy that is put in place.
Thanks ever so much, Nikki. Thanks for persevering with that. It's a while since we've seen that, and it just makes me smile every time I see it. So yeah, and it's nice to remember back to an ancient time when we could have face-to-face events and and what it was like. You know, I think we invest a lot of staff time and energy into the celebration events and into supporting our youth forum, and you know, to really take ownership of the event. And yeah, I think there's various things about how we've gone about it which have helped it work. But I want to bring Arwen in because Arwen's been involved in the celebration events from the start. And Arwen, I really wanted to ask you, you know, what would you say were the important aspects of how we've gone about planning and running the celebration events which have made them effective?
So, yes, I can remember I didn't go to the first celebration event, which, as Alexa said, there wasn't as much engagement, so it wasn't run by young people. I didn't feel confident at that time to come to an event with lots of strangers I didn't really know. But after joining the youth forum in the next year, that's when I first got involved. And I remember like the first meeting we had where we sat down and were like, okay, what do we want the celebration to be about? We had so many ideas. We were just like pouring out of ideas. We like started off with how do you enter the venue? And we had like, we want a green carpet. We want a stand where you can take photos. We want this to be a night to remember. How are we going to dress? We got to make sure it's safe for anyone to dress however they choose. We want local people involved with like local organizations, making a chance for finding out different opportunities. We had like so many ideas rolling off. We like wanted fireworks and everything. Of course, we couldn't have everything, but we certainly tried our best to get it all in there. Everything, I have to thank Alexa for this, everything really was down to us. Where was the venue going to be to make it able to get there from young people from across Northern Ireland? How were the chairs going to be set up? We went for round tables because that could facilitate discussion, and we wanted this night to be a number of things, but a celebration of your achievements in your group and you as an individual. Also a chance to connect with other people who you've never met from other areas of the country who've done different things to you, and being at a table could really help facilitate that. It was less formal, it was more approachable. And then there were chances for the young people to sort of present and MC. It was like almost entirely run by us. We were the ones calling in the guest speakers. We were choosing the guest speakers. We were discussing what videos we wanted to show, what were the things we wanted to highlight from the highlights of the year. So it really was like a tight run ship. Like every detail couldn't be spared. And I do, when I see like the highlights videos and the videos of past celebration events, I do get emotional and like really happy because we did put a lot of work into those, and I think it really does show through what you've just seen and through like the memories of people who came. There was like a clip in the video where there was on sort of a cork board, a map of Northern Ireland, and that was an idea we had, that people who came would write down their favourite wild place in Northern Ireland and stick a pin on it in the map. And then we could see that spread out of where are people coming from, what are the different experiences, what's their magical place. So it's small details like that that really made the night memorable for a lot of young people, I think. And one of my favourite things was the photo stand thing with the Grassroots challenge in the background. Then you can post to your social media and share with your friends, be like, look at this amazing event night, I'm practically at the Oscars. And there were groups from like scouts who were all in their uniform, and I just thought that was so cool that they came in their entire uniform and like dressed up to get their photo taken and got their award at the end of the night. So yeah, I've warbled a lot. Yeah, Alexi, if you have anything you want to add or ask me to say more about.
Yeah, so I suppose it was, yeah, Arwen's covered loads of things there, really, really great, and bringing back so many good memories. I think one of the fun things we got to do every year was to make some sort of prop for the stage. So in the first year, we made a big jigsaw out of the Grassroots Challenge Man, and we divided it up, and groups took different parts of the person and put post-it notes on it and brought it back down to the stage. And then in other years, we had that spinny wheel thing, and we used that to pick tables at random to answer questions and for spot prizes. And, you know, so, but like Arwen says, making it an event, you know, that, you know, I mean, we had, you know, about a third of our participants were young people from special schools. And for them to get dressed up and come to an event, and as Arwen says, to feel like they were almost at the Oscars, you know, because they were getting a photograph taken and awards were being given out, it really gave them a sense of, you know, they were at something, you know. So, but I think a couple of things in terms of, I suppose, consolidating achievements. Awards, you know, as a youth and community worker, I've always been a bit hesitant about giving young people awards, because when you give some young people awards, they feel great, but then there's other young people who don't get awards, and I've always felt a little bit uncomfortable about it. But we did embrace giving out awards at the celebration events, and we always tried to make sure that you know, if anybody was nominated for an award, then they would be invited to the celebration event, and they would be told they'd been nominated. So everyone that was nominated got a chance to come to the celebration event to find out if they'd won one of the top prizes. So at least that, you know, gave them a chance to be there. But it was also a way of actually getting people there, because there was oh, well, I've been nominated, maybe I've won a prize. So it's actually a really good mechanism for actually getting people in the room in the first place. It's also a great way from a strategic point of view to involve the powers that be and the high hegians and the important people, because you can invite them to come along and present awards, and it makes them feel special. But they can also be involved in the judging alongside young people of the awards. So, you know, from a strategic point of view, we've developed some really important relationships for the work we're now going on to do by involving some quite important people, and by inviting them to the celebration event to see, you know, what's been achieved, but also to involve them in it. So, you know, we now have a new contract with the Education Authority Youth Service here, and that's as a direct result of involving, you know, their officials and their senior managers in coming to the event. Just one example, we introduced a new award last year, and it was like a peer-to-peer award. So it was actually an award from members of the Youth Forum to individual members of the youth forum. It was a bit of a strange one, but it was a peer award. And last year, one of them went to a young man who'd been on the youth forum as long as Arwen, right from the start, but who was really lacking in confidence and very anxious when he started. And he was given a special award last year from his peers, recognising the contribution he'd made. And I was talking to his mum the other day, and she said, you cannot underestimate the impact that had on him, because he, over all that time, didn't really think he'd contributed very much. He came along to the youth forum meetings, he often didn't say very much, and he didn't really feel that he contributed very much. But then to get this award from the other young people he'd been with to say, no, you really did contribute something really valuable, and we can see how much you've grown, that's given him the confidence to come forward of his own volition to now be part of a consultation about a green growth strategy in Northern Ireland, meeting other young people he's never met before. So for me, when you get stories like that, it justifies, in my mind, what awards can do and the difference they really can make to people. So, but that's that. Linking it with current things. So, during that celebration event, there was a consultation about the Northern Ireland Environment Strategy going on at the time. So we were able to link participation in the celebration event with a consultation about young people's views on the environment strategy. So that was good as well. I think, it's great fun. It's great fun. It really is. It's a lot of stress. Oh my goodness. I think the hairline's receded about 6 inches as a result of these celebration events. It's really, but every time afterwards, I'm just left with this huge smile on my face, because it's, it's just always such a great buzz. Apart from the year that the IT didn't work, that was pretty stressful. But apart from that, no, definitely in terms of the work we put in, there's so many fantastic outcomes come from it. But Arwen, any other thoughts on it? What advice would you give people if they were looking to do their own?
I suppose just the biggest advice is handing the reins over to young people, that trusting that even if this is something they've never done or never thought about doing before, that they will, with a little bit of guidance, they will find a way that makes them happy, that makes their peers happy, that invites other young people to join in and be happy about it. And just facilitating, their crazy ideas or things that you might never have thought about, and making it something really special. If you're only doing it once in that entire year, then it needs to be something worth going to. That's my piece.
Oh, and the other thing, I suppose, just lastly, obviously with COVID and everything, we didn't have one last year in person, but it was online. And oh my goodness.
With my heart.
It was, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link in the chat for you here. The videos, there's a video of the online celebration event that was, let me just do this now. I can't multitask, I'm useless. Wait a minute. Oh, it's just if you type these things into YouTube, it should come up. Sorry, that's not the links. That's just the text. It's not transferred the links. It's just transferred the text. Sorry. But if you go onto YouTube, you can see a recording of our online celebration event last year. And yeah, if you want cheered up and you've got 45 minutes to watch it, you'll see Arwen's fantastic presentation skills. There's no spoilers. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but Arwen just steals the show completely, knocks it out of the park with them seeing it alongside Louisa. And the great thing about the online one was it can, an online things can be recorded and then shared with other people. Disseminating evaluation report findings. The most useful thing we did was to do a 4-minute video clip of the researcher talking about the findings in a nice outdoor setting. And again, there'll be a link to that there somewhere, to the Grassroots evaluation. So much more accessible and powerful than an actual report, to actually hear and see the person who did the research talking about it. So in terms of dissemination, that has been, one of the best things we've done. But yeah, as Arwen says, have young people at the heart of all of it, and driving it, and you will not go far wrong. There you are, Nikki. Thanks very much. And thanks, Arwen.